back. Defense attorneys for the three men convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery are expected to file a motion for a new trial next week. Now, the men could face life in prison after that jury found them guilty of murder. The verdict was hailed by civil rights leaders.
And let the word go forth all over the world that a jury of 11 whites and one black in the deep South stood up in the courtroom and said that black lives do matter.
This verdict coming less than a week after the jury's controversial decision in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. The defense in both cases had argued self-defense, but these were very different trials and outcomes. Here to explain why is criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Bernarda Villalona. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Bernarda, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you for having me.
So the jury in the Ahmaud Arbery case deliberating for 10 hours. What made this one so different from the Rittenhouse deliberations and outcome?
So what made it so different, aside that they were dealing with two different states, is that in Ahmaud Arbery 1, we all got to see it and everything was on video. But aside from that, the big issue was the provocation. So in the Ahmaud Arbery trial, because the defendants were trying to say that they were trying to exercise a citizen's arrest in the sense that they believe Ahmaud Arbery had committed a crime, and because they believe he committed a crime, they could have chased him and tried to apprehend him. However, the prosecutor was able to debunk that theory. And in debunking that theory, because they weren't availing themselves to citizen's arrest, then they couldn't claim justification, because you can't claim justification when you're the initial aggressor or you yourself are committing a felony. In Rittenhouse, it was completely different in the sense of the laws, but also that in Rittenhouse, you saw portions where the deceased in that case actually were the ones that were first initially chasing Rittenhouse. And I think that created some form of reasonable doubt for that jury. And in creating reasonable doubt, then the prosecution did not prove that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt.
All right, let's talk about where it moves from here. The judge now in the case is going to have to decide those three men's fate during sentencing. Any idea of what to expect from that judge? Does he have a hardline reputation, conservative judge?
So in regards to, at least for Travis McMichael, the shooter in this case, he was convicted of the highest charge of murder, that being malice murder. So because of the sentencing guidelines in terms of malice murder, he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. And also, let's just remember, given the ages of all three defendants, regardless of what sentence, whether it's 40 years or life, hey, they're going to die in jail. So I don't expect to see them. Aside from that, let's not forget that they're still facing federal charges. Their trial in federal court is scheduled for early next year.
And when we talk about that, the former local prosecutor was also came under a lot of fire here. It took a long time for those charges to come down. She's been indicted by a Georgia grand jury for mishandling the case in the beginning. When is she going to be facing her proceedings?
So it was just early on. She was just indicted, I believe, like a couple months ago. So usually because of bail status, and also we're still trying to recover from COVID and the backlog in the court system, I see her probably going to trial maybe early next year. But in regards to that, I don't think she'll go to trial. I think it'll be a quick settlement. But regardless, what does that show you? Because Ahmaud Arbery was killed on February 23rd of 2020. It took 4 different prosecutors' office to get the arrest of these 3 defendants and to get us to trial. You already mentioned Jackie Johnson, the first prosecutor on the scene. She misused her power as a prosecutor. The second prosecutor recused himself, but that's after determining that supposedly the defendants acted in self-defense. So you had all these issues, but one thing that this trial did show us, that the criminal justice system, the broken parts, but it played out all in the media for us to learn from and also to hold our government accountable.
We learned a lot from you with those perspectives. We thank you so much, Bernarda Villalona, for joining us this morning. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too. Take care, everyone.
Take care.